Okay, day 5 of the 100 push-up challenge. Let's go with the first set. Okay, that was 30. Maybe that's an improvement. Who knows? Anyway, it's a bit earlier than normal today. Still dark outside because I've got some stuff I need to do today. So usually I try and avoid doing these press-ups first thing because when I wake up I always feel like my body needs a couple of hours to wake up. And so I, will perhaps do a bit of work, have a coffee, get myself ready. And then probably about an hour and a half later, try and find the time to do this. And probably with exercise, long term, I've always wanted, I don't know why, really, I've always wanted to try and work in a sort of exercise regimen early in the morning or early in the day. Like I've always wanted to be one of these people who goes and exercises at 6 in the morning. And I've always struggled, I find it really difficult, partly motivation wise, drive wise, and I guess really the thing I want to talk about today is my own relationship with fitness and exercise and physical health, because I think it's something that I've thought about probably since I was about 14, 15 maybe, which was probably the first time I ever, maybe 15, yes, first time I ever went to the gym, because you play sport as a kid, but that's, from my memory, was always just for fun. I did it for the fun purpose, but never to be fit. And so I guess going to the gym was probably the first action which you can consider something for being fit. And as a kid I went because other people did, because I wanted to probably lose some weight. And then that's, I guess, been something that in some way or another I've kept some element of exercise in my life since then. So, long period of time, but I guess my motivation behind exercise has changed a lot over the years. I think probably when I was younger, so from my teens, and probably even after university, the main driver was probably aesthetic, appearance-based, to manage how I looked, to keep myself trimmer than I was. Always had a weird sort of relationship with how I look and what I want to look like, and so I think that has been the primary driver probably until I was about 25, 26, 27. And then my motivations have really shifted to trying to exercise and stay fit, because I recognise it's something that's going to help me live healthier, live longer, and really try and avoid injury and be happy. And so I'll talk about that more in a sec. So that's 25 up to 55. And so I guess maybe over the last 7-8 years, my reasoning for exercise has changed a lot. And that's helped me to stay more regular with it. Now, by no stretch would I consider myself, fit or in a position to really, give advice. But this, more than the physical fitness, I think the thing that's matured in me is the reason why I'm doing it and my approach to exercise. Because when I was younger and doing it for sort of aesthetic reasons, it was all about training to look good, doing things in large clusters. So, before a big event as that motivation, really being driven by that and that sort of external validation. And I guess that's still there to some extent, right? Like, I still want to try and look better and keep my body in a place where I'm more proud of it. But now, I don't know if this has always been the case, but I've become more aware of the benefits of regular exercise to stay fit when you're old, and also with happiness. So by stay fit when you're old, I have recently started to become more aware about the fact that as you get older, maybe in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's almost inevitable, unless you exercise and stay fit, to develop some sort of chronic pain, some sort of back injury, some sort of chronic niggle, knee pain, hip pain, something that limits you from staying fit, traveling, spending time with your family. And so that's something that I really want to avoid. There have been a couple of periods in my life after an injury when I have just woken up and just all day just had a pain, right? And so that either after injury to my knee, just for days and days, I was just always in this sense of background pain, limited mobility, couldn't exercise, it made me unhappy. And so I'm conscious of that, and it's something which I think my training and exercise regimen has changed a lot to try and avoid. So whereas when you're younger and training for an aesthetic reason, you really are all about pushing yourself to the limit, hitting personal bests, doing stuff back to back to back. Whereas now, it's a lot more about just consistency. And I think that's probably a constant theme of my attitude to things more generally, to work, exercise, this over the last few months. It's something that I want to try and build in, because I recognize consistency eats sort of high output every day of the week. And what you can achieve by doing something small, safely, regularly is far better in an exercise capacity for your body than anything you do by racing through and trying to measure yourself against pretty specific results that you think are important. Right. That's 20 more, 75. So that's changed a lot, really, to me trying to work in more just sort of slower cardio, lighter weights. And one thing I do is anytime I exercise, like go to the gym, I will limit myself to a 45-minute max, so I won't go more than that. And that also helps me maintain a more positive relationship with exercising. It helps me see it as less of a burden. And the sort of activities and sports I'm trying to do are a much slower pace. So at university and after university, I did a lot of running, and that was really good for you. But towards the end, perhaps, of my training for marathon, I was left with some sort of knee pain when I was just resting, and so that's something I'm conscious of. And I think doing that sort of high volume of exercise is something I'm going to try and probably avoid going forward. I mean, who knows? I may well at some point choose to take on the risk benefit again if there's a good reason to, but at the moment I'm pretty happy with just small amounts of regular exercise, trying to keep healthy and feel good about myself. And the other point that I've said a couple of times is sort of happiness. And I've tried things like meditation and mindfulness, but I just haven't been able to grasp it properly to the point where I think I'm getting the benefit from it. But one thing that I think has consistently made me happy has been exercise. I do get that endorphin rush, and I do get that sense of feeling of accomplishment when you do just go and do a basic amount of exercise. So it's something that brings me joy. Okay, 15 down, 10 more to go. I think one thing that I'm resigning myself to is I just don't think I'm ever going to have a six-pack, which is a sort of vain metric, but something that I've always wanted to know if it's possible for me, and it may well be. But more than the exercise side of things, the thing that I find really hard is the diet control side of things, because I love eating nice food, and when you're exercising it's important to eat well, eat enough, and to me I probably take that too far and eat enough with too much regularity or whatever. It's not something that I have invested enough in the output of having a six-pack and being completely trim that I would like to sacrifice the joy and pleasure and satisfaction I get from food. And maybe that's something I'll try at another point in my life, because I don't think I eat unhealthy, but I think I probably eat too much. And at the moment it makes me happy. And so I think exercising regularly and eating well brings me so much joy that it's not something that I want to alter this balance of at the moment, because, touch wood, I'm in a good place with it at the moment. Okay, so that's 100. All done for today. See you tomorrow.